All right, everybody. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Shooting Range Photography Challenge. We are here tonight to judge Week 5 Challenge Marketing. We want to thank the judges for coming back week after week to lend their expertise in all things photography related. So help me in welcoming back Amy and Jenna Hobbs, the duo behind Hobbs Photography, Tammy Darren, owner of the Photographer Studio, Leroy of Leroy Schultz Photography, and Darlene Hildebrandt of Digital Photo Mentor. Our guest judge this week is our expert in the field of marketing. Sarah Van Dusen has been in the marketing game for nearly 20 years and has established herself as a source of valuable marketing advice to multiple businesses in Edmonton and surrounding area. She has been consulted by the Canadian Senate for Google de-indexing law, the right to be forgotten. A Google partner, Sarah teaches on optimizing your SEO, website, and social media. In 2019, Sarah Van Marketing merged with Status Symbol to create High Level Marketing, a brand new Edmonton-based marketing agency delivering new websites with SEO and social media marketing campaigns. Thank you for giving us your time this week, Sarah. We greatly appreciate your expertise on the subject of marketing and how it plays an important role as a photographer and business owner. Marketing and photography has always had a long relationship. Photographs encourage engagement and increase the likelihood that people will act on the purchase of goods and services. So this week, we challenged the shooters to go out into the community and help local businesses by creating some social media content for their client. They were to interview the client and ask how they could help by adding a photographic element to current marketing. Our challenges are posted every week on Thursday for the public in our Facebook group, as well as Instagram and our website. Okay, hope you can bring up the very first slide. And it is a collective collage of all of the submissions this week. All right, one of everybody. We have 2 safe shooters this week, and we would like to show you their images. So next slide. In 4th place, we have Shalene Ramsahoy, whose imagery helped out Maya Rianne of Beauty Artistry. Slide 3 is Danielle Edwards, and in 5th place, who helped provide images for Christy Roll of Toys and Tutus. Congratulations, ladies. You 2 are safe for 1 more week. Now you can sit back and relax. Tonight, we will be talking with our top 3 and bottom 3 challengers, and in no particular order, here are their critiques. You can do the next slide. Corey Lynn, you worked with Divine Grace. Corey Lynn, can you tell us what made you choose Divine Grace Animal Therapy to help this week? And how were you hoping to help this organization with your images?
So I chose Divine Grace because they are a fairly new, it's an equine rescue, and they also offer animal assisted therapy. And I chose it because they're quite new, and I'm just trying to help. I wanted to help them get some more exposure is the word I'm looking for, sorry. Also, I wanted to bring awareness to some different alternative therapy options for people that are struggling with all of the effects from COVID. So it's kind of close to my heart. So it was a
Have you had a chance to visit them for yourself, or?
I have, yes. Yeah, I have visited them for myself. And I've also taken one of my kids out there as well. So
nice. It looks like it would be enjoyable.
It's wonderful.
Thank you. Leroy, emotion can be an important factor when selling a product or service, and pairing the right emotional elements can really drive a pitch home. Did this image or images emotionally draw you in and connect you to the service?
Yeah, I would say it definitely did. I mean, there's interspecies bonding happening there, especially with the image of the young girl with the horse. You know, that's lovely. And also the other image with horses, a human and a dog, which is quite nice. On technical basis, there's a lot of things that I found a little bit sloppy, like the back of the hair on the single girl with the horse that's super distracting to me. Also, the other image was not quite centered, and there's some vegetation in the top left corner, things like that I think would have benefited. All of this would have benefited from those things happening. That said, it's difficult to shoot things like animals, and I've done a lot of that. Where a lot of times you get what you get, but that just means you have to try harder and take a lot more shots to get the winning shot. But overall, I think she did a great job.
Awesome. Also, you know, they were out shooting in this terribly cold weather this week.
Horribly.
So kudos to all of you that went outside and shot your images outside. I know that it couldn't have been easy this week. Tammy, does this image deliver a message with no words? And what do you think it says to you? Are you there, Tammy?
She's muted. You need to unmute yourself, Tammy.
I got it now. Sorry. Yes. So when I first saw it, yes, it was definitely endearing. I really liked the fact that they were bonding with the animals. So yes, that one spoke that way. The writing for me was a bit pale. I found that it was hard to figure out what this ad was about. So I'm gonna use headers and what do you call those little square ones? My brain's not working right now. The square one. It doesn't really tell me what it's about, and then I have to really struggle to read the words because I find the words are really pale. So like a darker font would have been great to see what this was about. And there was a lot of words, so I spent a lot of time reading it and like, what's this about? So less is more, and darker and bold to catch your eye right away. Also, my other thing, or just a little critique on the viewpoint of the girl with all the animals. I would have liked to seen the photographer come down lower so that you're shooting head on to the animals. It's a bit high, and I felt maybe it got a little lost that way. And then the cropping as well. It was really heavy on the left.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tammy. You can move on to the next slide. This one is done by Bless J. He worked with Canadian Diamond Boys. Blessed, when researching your client and reviewing their brand, why did you choose this company? And do you think you delivered what the client asked for?
I chose this company because I guess I'm a big fan of hip hop culture, and they provide goods to, I guess, let's say that culture. And I felt I had like a list of clients, and I think this was I think this like choosing, because of the opportunities we were given, choosing something where you could work with them and still create in your own way rather than having your client kind of take over your submission and, you know, like you're getting paid for the job or whatever, right? So you know, I know Kix pretty well, and he's about definitely about helping out the up and comer. So that's why I kind of reached out to him first, and then I had some other options that I reached out to, but he got back to me real quick, and yeah, there it is.
Thank you. Hobbs, photographs have been an effective marketing tool since the late 1800s. Do you think these images invite you to find out more about the company or to run and make a purchase? Either of the Hobbs.
Apparently I was not listening well. Part of that question, what just went straight out of my brain. But
Do you want me to say it
sure.
again? Okay.
One more time.
Okay. So photographs have been an effective marketing tool since the late 1800s. Do you think these images invite you to find out more about the company or run to make a purchase?
No. My favorite part of both of these images is the background of the portrait, which looks to be, I mean, I know that's in Jay's wheelhouse and it's really well done. I can tell that it's always nice to see the faces behind the business, but I find the discrepancy in photo quality from the background to the portraits, as far as both lighting and the noise in the images, really distracting. And then for the square crop for Instagram, we did look at both of their Facebook, their webpage, and their Instagram, and it's not consistent with their existing body of work. And just it's off with the aperture choice and lighting quality for what is really going to enhance their brand.
Thank you. Darlene, they say that first impressions are everything. What first impression do these images leave you with?
Knew you were going to ask me. Honestly, the first impression I had was that they were jewel thieves. I didn't understand why they're standing outside in the city with their jewelry showcase, and the guy with the black gloves on. I mean, maybe that's part of his look or his style, but without me knowing that, it looks like he's just stolen these jewels. So that was my first impression, and I don't really understand it. And the what was that, Jenna? Amy. And what Amy said about the background, I didn't even notice the noise part, but I just looked at it now, and she's right. And the jewels in that picture of the guys are secondary. Like, they're so small in the frame, and then the logo over top is just really like busy, busy, busy. The image of the product itself, the pendant, I don't understand the words on it. Spend the something. I'd love to know what that's supposed to mean. The Rex up, the rest up, I don't know. But the product shot, I used to do studio product photography, and when you're shooting something that's reflective like jewelry and gold, you have to pump light into it, and you have to basically shoot it in a light tent, because the gold should be a lot whiter or sparklier. And if you look at their website, like Amy said, the photos of the product are better on their website. I like the idea of the mirror. That's a great idea to show the reflection and stuff, but this product is really difficult to shoot, and you also need to make sure your depth of field gets the entire product in focus, and it's not.
All right, thank you very much. Hope, we can go on to slide number 6. This one is Angela Patrick, and she worked with Callus Soapery. Angela, as a photographer, you strive to have a distinct style and want to represent your brand in a specific way. When planning this shoot, what did you learn about your client's style, and how easy was it to adapt your style to your client's expectations?
That's a tricky question, because I don't think she's brand new, so she doesn't say she didn't really have a style yet. So I'm not really sure how to answer that question. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Do you want to tell us maybe a little bit more about the company that you were working with?
Sure. She's a retired teacher and a friend. She used to teach my kids. And so now in her retirement, she's been making these beautiful soaps, and she's been depending on farmers markets and craft shows, which we can't do anymore at the moment because of COVID. So she launched a website, and yeah, she wanted some images for her website and for Facebook and Instagram. This one image on the left with her holding the soaps, she wanted to replace the stock header that she had on her website. So that was one of our goals.
Oh, so what you're saying is the web on her website, she was using stock images.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to
Besides
know.
like if you actually went and looked, like her on the homepage, it was a stock image.
Yeah,
But if you look at her soap, she took those photos.
those photos. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sarah, please chime in. Although video, audio, and text are important elements of modern marketing, it can be believed that nothing is better at attracting attention more quickly than a photograph. Do you feel this image or images is an attention grabbing, are attention grabbing? And would you have suggested anything to make these images more impactful?
Did you say Hobbs? Sorry.
Nope, I
No.
said Sarah.
Okay.
Hi. Great. So I like these images. I thought that the product shot with the Guinness was a little bit dark, like the shadows there in the background are kind of distracting. But it's also got this highlight on the soap, so you can't really see the details and the textures in the tops of the soaps like you can on the one in her hands.
Okay.
So I think that maybe if it had a little bit more texture there, and then it looks like something's been removed from the bottle, like maybe a label or a logo from the glass in the center there where the sheen's off.
I think that was just because
Oh, say that again.
that was just like from it being cold.
Okay.
Okay.
I honestly, I didn't even notice it until after when I was editing. It's like, darn it, I should have wiped it, but I didn't even see it.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
Sure.
reflection's really important with glass. But I mean, this did make me want to get some soap. It made me want to wash my hands. I really like the header image. I thought it could have been cropped a little bit tighter around the soap, but ultimately this is a good product shot. Just maybe a little lighter.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Hobbs, I am going to pick on you for this one. After these images, are you intrigued and want to know more, or is there anything lacking for you?
Yeah, I liked these images a lot. The only thing I would change is similar to what Sarah said, is to make them a little brighter, a little whiter. Often people use this light background for product photography to really enhance it. So you need to up your whites and make it light and bright, because I think that's the look you were going for. You just weren't quite there yet. And a little trick when you're shooting on that white background and you have your shadow, I shoot product photography as well. You can use something white, and I just use like a white poster board because white reflects light, to decrease those shadows a little bit. You can use a white sheet, anything that will reflect the light and decrease those shadows for you. But overall, I thought it definitely, you know what the product is. I would buy the product. So yeah, I think you did a good job.
Awesome. Thank you. Hope number 7. This image is by Karen Jones. She did work for a local salon called Soul Fire Beauty. Karen, the challenge this week was designed to get you out and into the community and lend a hand. What challenges did you face this week with this project?
A few. Weather was one of them. I had another business picked out to start with, and after trying to shoot it for 3 days in some pretty heavy falling snow, I had to give that up because I just couldn't get pictures through the snow, obviously, because it was a dealership. So then I scrambled for another business. This is a young business in town, so they were quite happy, wanting images to show the comfort in their salon and the number of services that they they have in their salon. Challenge was it's a very, very busy salon. I'm not meaning in this sense of the number of people in and out, but just there was so many things going on in the salon, and there wasn't a bare space anywhere. There was hardly even room to take pictures in some instances, but I did the best I thought I could with it, and this is what I came up with.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Karen. Tammy, do you feel like these images are unique enough to attract attention and drive sales?
Actually, no. So when I saw this originally, it was just a lot going on that I didn't even, sorry, I think this is one of the images when I wrote in the notes in my judging sheet, I said, pick a smaller item within the salon and focus on it so that, you know, maybe the coffee bar, you would just zone in on just those words and make that the picture, or less is more again, right? So, I mean, some of the pictures weren't quite straight. There were lots of, they could be, they were tilted and they could just be straightened out of it. But all in all, I find like the font, for example, if you're using several different types of font, it doesn't work either. Like it has to be bold, it has to catch your eye. Viewers always only have like, what's that, 3 seconds or something like that, where you got to catch their eye. And this one, I think I probably would have passed by because it would just been too much for my busy brain to focus in on and actually sit down and try to, you know, take a look at it. So that's kind of where I was with that one.
Thank you, Tammy. Leroy, content is king, but without social media, it wouldn't be as shareable or bring as much success. What would make this image stronger as social media content?
Well, I completely agree with Tammy that it's way too busy. This needs to be simplified, both in terms of the graphics that are there, in terms of trying to throw so many fonts into this. There's a typo with the word affordability, which you know, jars me. Like, you know, if you're proofing something, if you're presenting something, you're showing the best of the business, and you know, to be frank, this looks sloppy in many senses. So, you know, if this is being used in social media, there's just way too much going on. I think it needs to be pared down significantly, and pay attention to composition, to making sure that things are straight. Like the coffee bar image is one of my favorites, but it looks like it was shot from very close with a wide lens, so everything is contorted. And it, you know, that would be fairly simple with most lenses, where you just back up a little bit and zoom in so that you've got that flattening compression sort of effect. That makes things a lot more pleasing. So yeah, I think this one needs to be revisited from sort of a foundational level.
So Tammy and Leroy, let me ask you, if the client is adamant about adding more than one image, is there a number, or would you talk with your client and persuade them?
For me, when I talk to my clients about what their needs are, oftentimes they will come up with a whole bunch of stuff that my brain's just like, no, this isn't going to work, because we're the experts, right? So we need to groom them, so to speak, as to what will work. So if they want shots far and including everything, I would say, look, you know, it's too much. So what I would suggest is just zoning in on something like a pair of scissors, for example, or a coffee cup, or maybe the nails, like somebody's nails already done, or just small items that you can maybe still tell the tale without having all this stuff in the photo. So talking to your clients and just suggesting things that would be more impactful, it would be one of my suggestions.
Thank you.
One of the important things to remember when you're doing any sort of commercial photography is that you're not just there to take pretty photos. You're there to be an advisor to be, devil's advocate, to challenge clients and what they think they want, because often they don't know what they want. And that's why they're turning to a photographer to provide that expertise. And so with something like this, if the client is adamant that you want multiple images on an image, then it comes down to, all right, we'll simplify, because there's strength in simplicity. So yes, focus on, a coffee cup and, some of the elements that are in the studio, rather than all these things that from a distance just look really busy and, make your eyes blur over. It could be done, but it needs to be done in having a conversation with the client and really pare down what their vision is to what is workable.
Awesome. Thank you. Slide number 8. This was shot by Janet, and she was working with a marketing and branding company, Fox and Forth. Janet, as a new photographer and as a current business owner of a couple of local businesses, do you see the value in photography and marketing as a relationship? And do you think that you achieved that in the brief this week?
To the first question, yes, I do see it. There's an intense value between photography and marketing and getting your message out. And I do think I did achieve what I wanted to achieve. Brittany, the owner of Fox and Forth, had given me full range. She's just like, take my pictures, do whatever you want, it's all yours. So,
thank you.
Did I answer the questions? You're welcome.
Yes, you did.
Okay, good.
Tammy, are these images successful or for use on digital platforms? If so, why? And if not, what would you change to make them stand out?
A couple of them could possibly be successful. Sorry, I'm just pulling it up on my big screen here. So I really love her logo. Her logo is simple and it stands out all on its own. So adding all those extra words, I think just dumbs down who she is and what she's about. And I know in the little blurb that you had written about your client and what her goals were, I did pick out that she wanted, I'm trying to find the exact word, like style, high end, I think luxury. So words like that came to mind. So I would have coached her maybe possibly to dress that way as well in the photos. So maybe like a nice business suit, have her looking more polished. It's a little too fun loving for what her logo represents and for what her own little brief had said. So those were some things that I felt didn't quite match up, because her logo really is pretty cool. It's polished and it's luxury. So I think the rest of the image should have reflected that as well.
Thank you, Tammy. Sarah, do these images draw you in to use the service? Are there any distracting elements? And what would you change if you had the opportunity?
Yeah, so I don't really think that if I was looking at this without all the text on it, that I would know what she does. It doesn't really say to me that I'm in marketing or I do graphics or I do, ideas. Like with all the stuff in her hands and in the header image, I'm just like, does she sell promotional products? Like, is she trying to get me to put my logo on a hat or a mug? Or it just doesn't seem to me like it's conveying what she does. And there's part of a chair there. I would have maybe moved that back. And then for the right hand image with the profile, the Fox and Forth, the white logo over top of the background, I would have maybe added some contrast or some darkness behind it, because there's these white elements, so it makes it harder to read the logo, which is the most important part. You want the logo to be the most legible. I mean, this girl's very lovely. I like her smile. She's got some energy, but I think that it could have used a little bit of work there.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay. We can go on to slide number 9, Hope. This image was shot by Rain, who worked with Vertical Roots Canada. Rain, this week was a crash course for many of you. Do you feel you achieved the brief this week? And if you could do something different with your submission, what would it be?
Yeah, so definitely a crash course. Kate, first question was, sorry, what was the first question?
First question is, do you feel like you achieved the brief this week? And if you could do something different, what would that be?
Yeah, I feel like I did achieve the brief this week. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I felt excited about it. And then what I would do differently, I think I would do my process a lot differently. I'm not sure I would have done too much differently with like my end result, but I took it's ridiculous how not photogenic these lettuce were. And so I kind of went in with maybe not as much time as I was hoping. So I was looking at my pictures and I was like, these are terrible. Like, I was like, what am I going to do? And so I had to play around with a lot of lighting, and I was going through so much. Like, I spent more time on this than parenting possibly this week. So I think in processing something like this again, I think I would probably do more research on photographing this type of item, so that I had a better idea and plan going in to take the shots. And then I would have had more variety of images to pull from as well. I didn't have a great variety of shots that I thought looked good enough for this, as I would have liked, but I definitely still feel really good about the amount that I learned. And yeah, I was excited to do this week.
Thank you, Rain. Darlene, they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and this is particularly poignant in terms of advertising. Does this image spread a powerful message at a quick glance? If you had any tips, what would they be?
Yes, it does send a powerful message. They absolutely look fresh and ready to eat. For me, this was by far and away the best entry of the week. I love the fact that you use their hex colors from their logos, and that you mentioned that, like the blue that you've used from the logo on the header image. My comments to improve would be that I used to photograph food as well, like for a long time. And when you're photographing greens and things like this, just mist them with a little bit of water, because then they look ultra fresh. Think about how they look, in the grocery store when they're displayed, right? And they also spray them. You really have to pick the best leaves. And it looks like you've done that, because I don't see any brown ones or wilted ones or anything. So you've done a good job of that. The lighting is great because it picks up all the texture, and they look, shiny and really edible. The only little nitpicky things that I would say is that the header image is slightly over sharpened in the processing. So just scale back whatever you've done to process it a little bit on the sharpening. And things like matching fonts, like the header image doesn't match the font of the vertical image. Right? Maybe use all caps or something for better than organic, and keep the bottom one in the same, keep them in the same family. Yeah, and just little things like the white box that goes around the vertical one. The top left corner of the box is missing, like the lines didn't join up or something. And to do at the next level of things, you could add a drop shadow to that box, or fade it out a little bit like you did the other one, stuff like that. But overall, I felt it was a really good job.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Leroy, making a positive impression on those who see your ads is critical for success. Does this particular ad give you the feeling of professional and confidence-inspiring material? Why or why not?
So for me, overall, this was an excellent submission. There's a bit of a disconnect between the two images, where the one looks super polished, the one that's portrait orientation, with the fonts and everything. I mean, that just looks great. And you can nitpick some little things. Like I noticed that box top left as well, that's not quite joined. The one on the left is good, but for someone who has spent You know, I spent the better part of a decade doing design work and branding for companies. So I'm really picky about things like fonts and centering. So if you look at that blue bar where it says hydroponic, chemical-free, local, leafy greens, it's not centered, for instance, vertically. And that's because of the descending characters. If you take some text like that and you center it on that bar, it'll take the top and the bottom and center that, but that's not really centered. So if you look at, you know, say the word chemical, there's more space on the bottom, you know, things like that, I think undermine the message. Choice of font as well. One thing that really stood out to me was why the T in than, in better than organic, is not capitalized. You know, little things like that. Overall, the photos I think were great, and I think that sets a great impression. And the vertical image with all the branding there, I think that's excellent as well. A few things would have made this a little more powerful, but great effort overall.
Thank you, Leroy. Before we go into our top 3 and our bottom 3 tonight, I wanted to ask the judges a few extra questions and give them an opportunity to give you a little bit of advice for these coming weeks. So Sarah, when you work in marketing, you have a unique perspective because you have the experience and knowledge of both what your client wants to sell and what appeals to potential customers. When you encounter a situation where the client's and photographer's concept might not accomplish what they want, is there a point in which you give up and give them what they want regardless of your knowledge on the subject, or do you go back and you re-educate your client?
So sometimes this does happen, but also, you know, along with the re-education is you could also switch photographers. If you find that one isn't getting the right vibe or the right feel, you know, each photographer is different. Some do product photography really well. Others are great with portrait. Others are excellent at real estate photography. It depends on what the product is and what the client's trying to get across. So again, just telling them, yes, what are we doing with this image? What is its purpose? And then is this properly portrayed? And, you know, can it be better seen if we were to use somebody else? So sometimes, yeah, you do have to switch courses midstream. But yeah, a bit of education and maybe taking a different look at things. It sucks to reshoot. So usually I try and go with clients to shoot their products just so that I can make sure that we're getting the proper shots to showcase everything.
And that just opens into the client experience and learning what your clients want, right?
Exactly. So we usually spend a lot of time discussing with them, you know, exactly what these photographs are going to be used for. So are they going to be used for the website? Is there e-commerce involved? Is this just for branding? Is this for recognition? Or is this to sell something? Or, you know, what is the message behind it, right? Like, for instance, this image here, it would be something like, you know, are we trying to eat healthy? Are we trying to support local? Then, you know, what about the image of the local greenhouse or farm that this came from? I think would have been a great photo as well to show them, hey, this is where they come from. This is who you're supporting. This local farmer, this local person picking these greens would have been an excellent way to do it.
Thank you. Hope, can we just stop sharing the screen for a minute and we'll get back to the top 3 and bottom 3? So Sarah, when you work in marketing, you have a unique perspective because you have the experience and knowledge of both what your client wants to sell and what appeals to potential customers. When you encounter a situation where the client's and photographer's concept might not accomplish what they want, is there a point in which you give up and give them what they want regardless of your knowledge on the subject, or do you go back and you re-educate your client?
If you find that one isn't getting the right vibe or the right feel, you know, each photographer is different. Some do product photography really well. Others are great with portrait. Others are excellent at real estate photography. It depends on what the product is and what the client's trying to get across. So again, just telling them, yes, what are we doing with this image? What is its purpose? And then is this properly portrayed? And, can it be better seen if we were to use somebody else? So sometimes, yeah, you do have to switch horses midstream. But yeah, a bit of education and maybe taking a different look at things. It sucks to reshoot. So usually I try and go with clients to shoot their products just so that I can make sure that we're getting the proper shots to showcase everything.
And that just all into the client experience and learning what your clients want, right?
Exactly. So we usually spend a lot of time discussing with them, exactly what these photographs are going to be used for. So are they going to be used for the website? Is there e-commerce involved? Is this just for branding? Is this for recognition? Or is this to sell something? Or, what is the message behind it, right? Like, for instance, this image here, it would be something like, are we trying to eat healthy? Are we trying to support local? Then, what about the image of the local greenhouse or farm that this came from? I think would have been a great photo as well to show them, hey, this is where they come from. This is who you're supporting. This local farmer, this local person picking these greens would have been an excellent way to do it.
Thank you. Darlene, this was an advanced challenge this week. Marketing is sometimes tough for people who have been in business for many years even. And while it may even come easy to others. Can you tell us, would you pay any of the challengers for their work this week, and why or why not?
She always gives me the hard questions.
I know you can handle it, Darlene.
I know. What's that saying? We don't get what we ask for, we get what we need. Yeah. Yes, I would pay Rain for those, to be honest. I would pay, who did the horse one?
Corey Lynn.
Yeah, I would pay for those with a few tweaks. I want to add a caveat, because as a photographer, and I've hired marketing people in the past, I've hired graphic designers, and I find that a lot of photographers get in this headspace of do it all themselves. And I've been doing this for 30 years, right? So I've done this, right? They want to build their own website. They want to design their own logo. They want to design their own ads. They want to do all these things, like all the stuff that we've talked about, fonts and negative space. And like, Sarah's the expert in this stuff, right? Like, hire Sarah to put it together. You do the photos. So you and Sarah are the team, right? Sarah's good at what she does. You're good at the photography part, and you put it together, right? Like, I don't profess to be a graphic designer, so I will never design my own logo. And I've paid, hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars for those things, right? So it's about hiring the appropriate person. And Billy, you touched on that about, somebody who's good at landscape photography isn't a food photographer. A portrait photographer isn't going to give you good product shots necessarily, right? So it's about knowing your own genre or your lane and being good at that thing, right? So if you know that you love food photography, then go for it, right? If you love portraits or kids like Amy and Jenna, do that, and be good at that one thing instead of trying to be good at everything. Be really good at one thing. That would be my advice.
So steer away from the everything photographer.
Yep.
Okay. Hobbs, do you feel the shooters this week built a good relationship and had an understanding of their given products or services?
I mean, giving these guys credit, it is a short timeline. We did have weather that was terribly cold for those that shot outside. I would say in some of the images, it was evident that they had a good understanding of what the brand and business was, what the client wanted. They are representing the company well. In others, I would say not so much to all of those things. When you're working with a brand or a business, it's important to sit down and find out all about them, to go to their current social media, their current Facebook, their current webpage, read their about you, know what they're about, because you are showing the best of them. You want to show their baby. That's what it is. It's their business. So yeah, you want to work your butt off to highlight them, to show the shiny version. I forgot what the question was, but hopefully I answered it.
Yes, you did. Amy, if there's anything you want to add, you can. If you want, you can just sit there and look it pretty.
Jenna summed everything up in a much kinder way than I am ever capable of doing.
That's what I'm here for.
All right. Tammy, it's important as a photographer to be able to produce images based on what the client wants. Do you think that the photographer's personal style comes into play when producing images for commercial work? And should this be a focus over what the client pays for?
No, I don't think your personal flair should completely come through. I mean, people will choose you because they like your style of work, et cetera, et cetera. However, I think you got to really listen to your clients and what they want. I mean, I've made mistakes over the years doing that exact opposite. And I've learned, okay, I got to put Tammy aside and focus on what exactly they want and do the job, because I'm getting paid to do this, and get this product right and stop being a control freak on that end of it. So listening and producing what they ask for is key, definitely. And making sure that you have the equipment needed to do so, because if you do not, you need to pass it to someone who does. Because even if you go and buy the equipment, you do also know how to use you need to know how to use the equipment. So, and I've passed down a lot of commercial work to better photographers that are more capable of doing that. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned in is it humility? That's the word I'm looking for.
Thank you very much. Leroy, you do a lot of commercial work, do you not?
Yep, I do.
Okay. When you are contracted to produce images for your clients, do you have a process that has become effective in achieving your photographic goals for the companies that you do work for?
In general, yes. I mean, the dynamic that you have with a client can, is different between clients. But one of the things that I do to sort of suss out things that that put us on the same page is to ask them for 5 adjectives that describe what they want their photos to express. And I give them that homework, and a lot of times they come back and like, this was really tough, and that's good. Good things come out of tough things, and it makes them synthesize what they want to say. Because a lot of times, if they're busy business owners or a large company and there's committees involved and that sort of thing, they can be all over the place, and really it helps to be able to be on the same page, and that starts with them knowing what they want.
Thank you, Leroy. So judges, I'm going to give you this opportunity to give a quick bit of advice in regards to marketing and the work that was produced this week. If you guys have anything or any advice to impart on these challengers, just go ahead and speak. I don't have any specific questions in regards to this.
Well, I'll jump in since I'm still sort of unmuted. Okay. I think as a group, I was disappointed with the submissions this week. I'll say 2 things. One, being thrown into a challenge like this week's, I know is complicated. If you don't have a lot of background in doing any sort of commercial work or working with a business, it can make your head spin because you don't know where to start. Weather was a challenge for anyone doing something outdoors. Timing is a challenge. A lot of times, if a client reaches out to me, they're looking for a shoot a month down the road, and there's lots of prep time, and there's, you've got that comfort level. Or, if it's something and they specifically tell me they want me to do it, even if it's something I'm not very experienced with, and they turn down the opportunity for me to refer to someone else, I have time to prepare and to learn. And so I realize that this was a difficult challenge, probably the most difficult, I would think, for the challengers this week. But with anything, difficult things are a chance to really shine and to strive. And I think in a lot of cases here, I didn't see that that challenge was braced and accepted, and that it was a springboard to do some brilliant work. So I think a lot of it comes down to, as we've been saying, I think throughout this series, details. Just really paying attention to a lot of details would go a long way.
Thank you, Leroy. Darlene.
I'll go. What I wanted to say is that for me, the top submissions were the ones that had the least elements in them, right? So for me, it was the lettuce, the horse and the lady, and the soap, because they were simple and clean. Because when you're trying to do a marketing message, and I do some of my own graphics for my website and things, but I have a template from a designer. So I just literally drag and drop the images into my templates. And things like featured images for a blog post on your website, or like right now I'm working on YouTube marketing and making the thumbnails of my YouTube videos stand out. So what I recommend is just spend some time looking at Facebook pages that you follow and that you like, or Instagram, not so much Instagram, but like YouTube, like things, or even just the ads that come up in your Facebook feed, and take notice of, okay, what grabbed your attention and why, right? Even if you're driving around town and you see a sign for a business that grabs your attention, what about it took your attention? Was it the color? Was it that it was flashy? Was it simple? Was it big? Like the bigger the letters can be on the YouTube thing, for example, it's more likely you're going to get clicked, right? So simple. Like you don't have to pack 12 elements into one photo. It's better to have one. Somebody mentioned like the hands, or I would have loved to see like a hand getting the nails done with a high-end, manicurist. Maybe that's not happening right now because of COVID, or something like that, like a close-up of something, or hair, or even some of the tools that could make something stand out more, because it didn't say high-end salon because there was so much stuff going on. So KISS principle is my thing.
Can you explain KISS principle, please?
Keep it simple, stupid. Or keep it simple, silly.
I like stupid better. It resonates in my own head.
No, the expression is definitely stupid.
Okay, I was trying to be nice.
Any other judges want to weigh in? Any advice that wants to be given?
Yeah, so for that salon shot with all the multiple images, I thought an exterior shot of that building would have been a great option, something to show where people are going into. When you're doing commercial and it's like a retail location or a shop, people want to know where it is and what it looks like from the outside. So when they're making an appointment, they know where to go. So I would have chosen one of those as a image to showcase them. I'm sure they've got their name on the sign outside, and then you wouldn't have had to put all that text and logo and everything else over top of it. I really like the image of the horses. I thought that was very powerful, and that you pictured yourself there with that horse, and I like that. I like the fact that it kind of, you feel something. That's important in marketing, that you want people to have a reaction to it and to see themselves enjoying your product and services, solving something.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other judges?
I can. I completely agree with what everybody has said thus far. When you are Jenna and I have done many critiques. And I'm a consummate procrastinator, so I can appreciate the stress of needing to throw something together completely outside of your wheelhouse in a week. And I know it was cold and you had a tight timeline, but if ultimately this wasn't a challenge and this was your timeline and you had to produce images that are going to enhance a brand in the timeline that you're allotted, people that are looking at the company's Instagram or looking at their Facebook header, they do not give a shit that it was -35 out this week. they aren't going to think, oh, well, that image kind of sucks balls, but it was really cold that week. Because people don't care. In a month, they're going to forget that it was -40 unless you're, 85 years old and that's what you talk about. So it's just like overcoming all the excuses to produce a strong image. And I also understand that we are drawn to photograph what we like. And I'm with Darlene in that to say I'm horrible at graphic design would be a huge compliment. Thank you, Jenna, for doing that for me. And so I know that you had to do it yourself this week, but push yourself. Again, what Darlene said, look at what works. I don't know what everybody else's metrics are like. Most of our traffic is on mobile devices, which is small. So you need to keep things really simple and really readable where people can look and read, and they want to spend more time looking in a very small window of time. And when you're photographing for a brand or a company, you need to be bringing value to that brand. So looking and enhancing what they already have and being consistent with their brand message unless they're completely overhauling it. And we did try to look at everybody's Facebook, Instagram, and website for companies that we could find. And I mean, not to be a bitch, but most examples, was not enhancing what they already had in place. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Amy. Anybody else? If not, we're going to move on to top 3 and bottom 3. So our bottom 3 this week, in 6th place is Bless Jay for his images for Canadian Diamond Boys. Jay, you're safe this week, and we look forward to seeing what you have next week. In 7th place, and safe for another week as well, is Karen Jones for Soul Fire Beauty. Unfortunately, Janet, your images for Fox and Forth this week placed you in last. You missed the mark, and you must empty your clip and leave the firing line. We wish you all the best as you learn the art of photography. Please don't hesitate to reach out as you try to figure out your new camera, the Nikon Z6, that you just got. When you have that camera figured out, we have no doubt that your creativity will shine through in your images. Thank you for being with us, and we hope that you continue to cheer on your fellow challengers. We will be removing you from the private challengers group on Sunday at 7 p.m. To give you an opportunity to say goodbye and share a few more moments with your teammates, colleagues, challengers. Did you want to say anything, Janet?
It's been a blast. Thank you so much, you guys. It's been a journey.
Been a little bit interesting, hey?
Yeah, it has been, but
we hope that you'll keep learning, and hope Ashley and I are always willing to help out new photographers as they emerge. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now we're going to move on to our top 3. That's slide number 11. So the 3 of you rose to the difficult challenge of marketing this week. Give yourselves a pat on the back. In 3rd place this week for her work with Callus Soapery is Angela Patrick. Good job, Angela. And in 2nd place for her images with Divine Grace Animal Therapy is Corey Lynn. Good job, Corey Lynn. And move on to the next slide, Hope. Our winner is Rain. Yay, Rain. Which means, Rain, you are the sharpshooter of the week. Congratulations, your images struck a chord with the judges as being fresh and professional with great lighting and color. They are interested in knowing if the company has chosen to use the images produced for them.
Hi. Yes, actually, they would like to hire me to do kind of like a reshoot of a lot of their products. So I'm going to be meeting. They have harvest days on Tuesdays, and so it's very busy, and it's a perfect opportunity. And so I'm going to go back, and I was really grateful for your guys' perspective, because like I didn't see it when I was putting it together, but I see it now, and that's what I appreciate so much from you guys. And so I'm going to take that into account and kind of do everything and see how they like it and kind of go from there. So I'll be doing profile pictures for each of their sites, banners for their website, their Instagram and their Facebook, and then some like ad posts for them to use in their emails and their Instagram. So I'm excited. They're on the same page with me. They know that this is not like what I've ever done before, and they're very patient and excited. They're not in a rush, so to work with me and yeah, figure it out. So yeah, thanks so much, guys.
So that's really awesome that you ended up getting a job out of this. Good job. We're all very proud of you this week. So it has been a terribly long week, terribly long cold week. Thank goodness this week is over. It's still going to be cold next week. We hope that you enjoy the challenge, the next challenge of Uncommon Common. And that is what we'll be judging next week. As of right now, I don't have anything left to say. Darlene, you can feel free to tell your story.
Okay, great. So I'm dating myself now. This goes back probably 20 years. I was still shooting film, for those of you that were even like alive at the time. So I was hired by, yes, Hope. I was hired by Petrocan to photograph one of their stations because they had done them all over in this new design, which is now, of course, 20 years old with this sort of neon and everything. So I took one look at the design and I decided I was going to go shoot it at blue hour as opposed to in the daytime because it's neon. So I need to see the neon, right? So I went and I shot this thing and I printed it up and I sent them, what they asked for because it was printed. They were blown away because they didn't envision that. They just wanted to see a picture of the station. So then they hired me to do 20 of them. Okay. But now I've set myself up because now I have to shoot them all at blue hour, right? So every freaking day for like a month, I went out at blue hour and photographed a different Petrocan. And some of them had to be photographed at dawn because of the direction they were facing. So I had to figure out which way they were facing, go and shoot all these things. Then at the end of that, they ended up ordering like large prints of all of them. And we did a group shot of a whole bunch of board members and this guy it ended up being about a $10,000 job, which was a $200 job in the beginning. But because I went that extra mile and showed them my vision for it, they didn't ask for that. It ended up being a huge job.
Wow. Worth it to get paid, but pain in the butt because of how you set yourself up for it.
Yes, and luckily it wasn't winter, so it wasn't -30 when I was shooting that. But yeah, it was like every day I'm like, oh God, I gotta go shoot another one of these stupid things.
So there is definitely a commitment when you shoot commercial work. The important thing that we want you guys to kind of understand is that even as a photographer, an artist, or any business that you have of yourself, that it's important to understand marketing in your own lane and what your style is so that you can either hire a creative person like Sarah to do your marketing. And even sometimes, even though you're a photographer, you might want to farm out some of that photography work to somebody else because their perspective may be different and they may be able to produce what you're looking for better than you can. Just a thought.
I actually, whenever a client asks me to take photos, I'm like, I'm not a photographer. I was like, I can take photos, but I won't. So make sure you hire somebody because that's the most important thing of any marketing.
Yeah. So do you often, you must have like a list of photographers that you recommend to clients, and probably based on what they shoot, not just because they're a good photographer, but because they specialize in something that's very specific.
Exactly. So if I'm looking for something that's real estate, say like a flooring company, and we want to go in and shoot some of their show homes, I'm looking for somebody who's practiced in using real estate photography and knows the angles and the lighting and how to best portray that piece. Maybe there's some kind of feature molding or tile that could be the focus, as opposed to if I'm trying to do a shot of somebody, some brand and lifestyle shots, and they need something to portray them as being fun or as being financial and thoughtful and disciplined. It's a completely different style. And then again, product photography, right? So
Yes.
each product will need a sharp, clear, concise image for the website, especially as everybody makes a shift from in-person to online sales. Like e-commerce is huge right now, and I built so many online stores because of it. So a lot of that has to have all these photos, because otherwise you can't sell these products. People won't buy them if they don't know what they're getting. Yeah, good photography is important. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Our job easier as a marketer.
And it's super beneficial to the company owner as well to have consistent imagery throughout their websites and platforms and things like that. So you can usually tell which companies take their own photos, which companies farm out that photography to 5 other photographers. So as a business owner for yourselves, it's important to have consistency on your own platforms. So that is my recommendation to you this week, is to look at your own platforms and see where you're consistent or inconsistent. All right. Does anybody have anything that they want to talk about, say? Otherwise, I think we are good to go for the week. No? Oh, no, Hope, you can't. You actually have to turn on your mic so that we can hear you.
We're over time. You need to shut her down. It's 10:10.
Everybody likes being here with us. Don't worry about it. All right, just kidding, everybody. Sarah, again, thank you so much for joining us this week. Your expertise was invaluable. And they all know now, if they need marketing advice, that they can hire you and talk to you about it.
And if you guys want to know anything about Google at all, if you have any questions, Sarah at highlevelYEG.ca.
Yeah, she's a Google queen. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Janet, thank you for being with us this week. We look forward to seeing your work. I want to keep tabs on you and see how well you're working with that camera. If you're struggling, just let us know, okay? So we can get you on the right track.
Awesome. It was nice meeting you all. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too.
Congratulations on making it to week 6, shooters. My name is Zena Lawson, and I'm a doula and registered massage therapist. I'm also a 3-time Olympic biathlete, and I'm here to talk to you a bit about seeing common things in an uncommon way and vice versa. Today, if you just happened upon someone carrying a gun on a cross-country ski trail, your initial reaction would likely be confusion, maybe a little fear. But guns and skis might seem like an odd combination, but the sport is actually based on a Scandinavian hunting practices when it would have been common to see people skiing in the woods with guns. It was later adapted by the Norwegian military as training, and today is an Olympic sport. So just like it was once common to see hunters on skis, it was common to see women assisting other women through pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum. Over time, hospitals medicalized childbirth, made it kind of scary, and women started longing for that wisdom and companionship of other women. So the practice of women coaching other women through childbirth reemerged, and now it's not uncommon to see even hospital births attended by doulas like me. So your challenge this week is to photograph something that forces us to stop, look a little closer, and wonder. There might be something you stumble across in your community that fits the brief, or you may elect to intentionally place an item someplace that forces the viewer to see it differently. But however you choose to play with this idea of common and uncommon, remember, your submission needs to be as captivating and interesting as it is free from technical fault. So shooters, you're in my crosshairs now. Your submissions are due by 7 p.m. February 14th. Happy shooting!